Hello, bonjour Alberta. Did you know that at least 238,000 people speak français in Alberta? And those numbers just keep on growing? Oui, oui, c'est vrai, it's true. And thanks to Shaw TV Community Access Programming, we get to reach out to everyone to let you know all about special people, places, events, and activities happening right here in this great province, in both English and en français. That's right, mes amis. We begin the first part of our program in English, and then we repeat it en français. So stay with us. Restez à l'écoute.
Welcome et bienvenue to Hello, Bonjour, Alberta. I'm Marc Lalonde. Did you know that Indonesia, with more than 250 million citizens, is the fourth largest country in the world? Today, we're very pleased to have Claudette Croteau with us. And she's going to tell us about SPICES tours and a charitable foundation established in 1998 called Little Care, which provides direct care and support to children in Indonesia. Welcome, Claudette.
Hello, and thank you for having me tonight on this cold winter night in Calgary.
Oh no, it's a nice warm day today.
Oh yes.
We're Albertans, remember. But are you originally in Alberta? Let's hear something about you.
I am very much so originally an Albertan. My family first arrived here the year that Alberta became a province.
1905.
I believe that's 1907.
Oh, okay.
And my grandmother arrived in when she was 9 years old in Edmonton, and there were teepees and trails, and was what was her first experience of Alberta soil. And she was very disappointed because she was told that there are orange trees growing in Alberta.
Oh, that's only in the south, I think, yes.
Right. So my family established themselves in the Bonneville area, and so my father was a pioneer in the area, and so I come from a pioneering background.
And your family came from where?
From
Originally?
Quebec.
From Quebec.
From
Okay,
Quebec,
so
yes. So my
Quebec,
grandmother
yeah,
arrived
okay.
from Quebec.
Right.
Yes.
So pioneering, farming, kind of a community,
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
And my grandmother had 12 children, and
Wow.
So our clan is quite
So
well
that's why I've heard
established.
the name Croteau a fair bit from that region, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, and,
yes.
and you grew up there?
I grew up in Bonneville, and typically at that time it's a very isolated communities in northern Alberta at that time, and as most of my friends did, we left as soon as we could. when I was 17, I left when I was 17. Yes, and of course my family is still there, so I've always had reason to go back very frequently.
So
Yes.
presumably you went to university from there?
Yes, and I made a very odd choice. I came to the University of Calgary. And for Northerners, that was not
Right,
typical.
well, University
Right.
of Alberta is renowned for a lot of its programs, for sure.
That's
Okay,
right.
and do you have a degree in education?
That's correct. I did my undergrad at the U of C, and then later years did master's courses at Faculté Saint-Jean in Edmonton.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So you got a bit of a bilingual degree there. And then did you teach in the Calgary area?
I actually taught in northern Alberta for my first years of teaching, and then in central Alberta, and for quite a few years.
But that was back then. Now
Yes.
you're a citizen of the world. From what I've
Right.
seen, you've taught all over the place. Where have you been?
In 1994, my family, with the two girls, we towed our children and left for a very exciting opportunity of teaching in an international school in Indonesia.
In Indonesia.
That's right.
Okay, so that's a little different from northern Alberta. I would take it a little warmer for one thing. Yeah.
Quite a bit warmer. And I ended up in the hottest city of all of Indonesia. And it was very humid and very warm. And the city is called Surabaya. It's the second largest city in Indonesia.
Indonesia. Wow. So how many millions in Surabaya?
Approximately, presently 8 million.
8 million, so that's
it was only about 4.5 when we were there.
back then. So is that when you got involved and were co-founder of Little Care?
That's correct, Mark. So my family and I, we stayed in Indonesia, and I taught there for 6 years at the International School of Surabaya. And I made some great contacts while I was there, and I met these 3 fabulous women. One was the American Consul General's wife. Another one was head of the Indian community in Surabaya. And another woman whose name is Inda Richardson, who is Indonesian and married to a British fellow, was very active in the community in doing all kinds of work for charity work at that time. And so the 4 of us got together and we decided we need to create a community service program at the school so that our children can all learn about the host country, can have some experiences that they will remember forever in and making a contribution to the well-being of the children.
And there's a lot of contribution to be made, isn't there? Indonesian children have some challenges that we have trouble relating to, I understand.
Absolutely, and this was also the timing of it was during the Asian economic crisis. So everything really came to a head. The costs were phenomenal, and people were suffering in a very
starving.
Yes. And we decided we would focus on the schools that were surrounding the international school and nearby schools, and we built partnerships with them. And mostly we focused on providing sanitation for the schools because, believe it or not, most of them did not have sanitation. So
very basic requirement.
Yes. So although the Indonesian school system is such that they have, in order to maximize on the actual school buildings, they have 2 groups of students per day. One will go till noon, and then from there on until late afternoon. And we heard stories about the kids holding it till they could get home. So they couldn't, there were no toilet facilities at all in so many of those. So we made that our priority. And my French class actually decided that we would build a kindergarten class, rebuild a kindergarten class, because we, on our fact-finding mission, we went on during the rainy season, and there was complete holes in the walls, and there were leaks in the ceilings, and there was a ground floor.
So there are a lot of renovations to be done.
And my students were really appalled at the conditions of this kindergarten class, and so they decided we're going to do this. And so we had a fundraiser. We created a carnival. And it was a complete experience for most Asians had never heard of a carnival, a French carnival. Yeah. And so we had can girls performing in my grade 6 class. We had the parents, so we had quite a few French expat parents. They got involved, and so they trained these girls, and there were performances, etc.
And Little Care has gone on from there, I understand.
Yes.
There's also providing actual food in certain circumstances, and educational fees, all of that sort of thing?
We provided rice in large quantities to the immediate area that was really in a high need of it. We worked with, actually, City of Surabaya had a dump site that was 1 kilometer from the school. And in this dump site, there were 100 residents with children. So we provided them with rubber boots and hygiene, just lessons on hygiene, so that the very little
they could avoid disease,
least
for
they
sure,
could
yeah.
take care of themselves and take care of their children. And we provided milk for the children and rice for them as well. We also started a library for students, so where our students were teaching them English and computers and interacting with them, so we had a multitude of projects going on. We had an evening for where we did a major fundraiser, and we provided, through this fundraising endeavor, we had actually street children come and perform. They were very, very talented musically, and they performed for us, and we raised enough money to cover their housing for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So things like that.
And this goes on. I
Yes.
understand also this is a rare organization in that all the staff are volunteers. So almost all the fundraising goes directly to helping out the children, basically.
Absolutely. And now what's happened, there's a bit of a shift, because the head, my friend Inda Richardson, who her and I co-founded Little Care, she actually moved to Yogyakarta, which is the cultural center of Indonesia, and so there the needs were different than Surabaya in the city, where it was mostly enrollment, paying for a certain amount of students. We had expats in the school sponsoring those students to attend school for a long time. So in Surabaya, it was very much of an urban needs.
Yes.
And so when she moved to Yogyakarta, Yogyakarta is in the Ring of Fire. And so there are perpetually volcanoes erupting, and communities that are
earthquakes,
destroyed, affected. And what we found was the children there had different needs. They were experiencing a lot of trauma from the volcanic eruptions and the effects.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got a little bit of time left here. I'd like to talk about your tour company, SPICES Tours.
Yes.
And it's not Spice Tours, it's SPICES Tours with an S, because SPICES is an acronym. Can you quickly list the different values of the company?
Absolutely. So SPICES encompasses basically what our vision is of our travel tours. So the S for social aspect, P for physical, I for intellectual, C for cultural, E for emotional, and S for spiritual.
I see. Okay, puts all that sort of thing together. And what kind of tours do you do? How is this different from your typical let's all get on the bus kind of a tour?
I would describe them as very authentic tours, where you have a lot of contact with the local people. You make connections in ways that you probably would not dream of because of the contact, and we have also culinary experiences and many activities that are hands-on, where there's a real connection.
Right.
So
how do people find out about this if they want to donate to Little Care, for example, or know more about your tours?
Well, Little Care is a registered charity in Indonesia, and so the best way, if you want to contribute to them, is to get a hold of us, and we'll make that possible for you.
And your website is
and
Little
our
Care.
website is spicestours.com.
Okay.
And yes,
So
I
it's-
have
it's-
also educational aspect and also leisure tours.
All right, well, thank
for
you very much.
People of all ages.
Thank you, Claudette. Please stay with us. On continue en français.